pregnancy test dropped noisily onto the fancy stone counter, and She Thompson's whole world flipped upside down. 2 pink lines, super clear. No way. Her hands shook as she held tight to the edge of the sink in Cho Yong-soo's top-floor bathroom. The big windows from floor to ceiling behind her, showing the shiny Gangnam City lights like a bunch of little stairs. Her face in the mirror looked back, dark skin looking red, curly hair all messy around her face, eyes big with a mix between freakout and not believing. This couldn't be real. They'd been safe, always safe. Shea, his voice came through the bathroom door, deep and smooth like pricey booze, that bossy Korean sweet name wrapping around her name like he owned it. Come out. She couldn't budge, couldn't take a breath. Her chest felt like someone put metal straps around her ribs and was squeezing them tight bit by bit. I said, come out, not asking this time. An order in that voice that made tough guys in Seoul's hidden spots run away like bugs. She made her legs move, opened the door, and saw Yong-soo leaning on the door edge. He tossed his suit jacket aside, and his white shirt was open halfway down his chest, showing the black tattoo that climbed up from his neck area. A dragon in the air, wings out across his shoulders, scales hiding under fancy cloth. At 6'2", he was way taller than her, 5 feet 6 size, all deadly smooth and held back strength. But it was his face that made her feel ice cold. He wasn't surprised, wasn't shocked, wasn't anything but happy about it. You knew. The words came out rough from her throat. Oh my God, you knew. Yong-soo's dark eyes looked over her face with a strong stare that made her skin tingle with half fear and something she didn't want to call out. Of course, I knew. We used protection every single time for 3 months. Her voice broke. What did you do? He pushed away from the door edge and came toward her with that hunter-like smoothness that once made her feel safe. Now it made her feel chased. I stopped using them 4 weeks ago. The room spun around. She grabbed the door edge to not fall, her heart pounding so hard she felt it in her throat. You messed with the condoms. I stopped using them at all. He said it like talking about what to eat, like he hadn't just admitted to ruining her whole life. You never saw because when I had you under me, lost in the moment, when I made your breath come quick and needy, you weren't thinking about anything but how I made you feel. If you want to find out whether she gets away from Yong-soo's crazy want or falls more into it, sign up now so you don't miss the next part. Trust me, this story gets scarier. Her face got hot, shame and anger and the bad memory of his hands on her skin. His mouth leaving hot paths down her neck, while he whispered dirty promises in Korean. She acted like she didn't get it. But you did get it, didn't you? That voice in her head said, you knew just what he meant when he called you his. You got me pregnant on purpose. Her voice was super quiet. Yes, the easy yes hit her like a real punch. Shea's hand swung up before she thought, going for his face. But Yong-soo grabbed her wrist in the middle of the swing. His hold was strong like metal in soft wrap, tight enough to stop her, but gentle not to hurt. Let me go. She tried to pull away, but he tugged her closer instead, until she could smell his fancy smell, like orange and wood, and feel the warmth coming off his body like a hot stove. Oh no. His other hand came up to hold her chin, lifting her face to look at his eyes. I'm never letting you go. That's the point. You're crazy. She pushed at his chest, but it was like pushing a wall of muscle and tattoo and crazy want. You trapped me. I trapped us both. Something showed in his eyes, something real and almost open under all that big ego. Do you know what happens when the boss of the BO group has a weak spot? When word spreads that Cho Yong-soo cares about an American woman, about a child, the words felt like cold water. Group, what are you? They'll come for you. His thumb ran along her chin line, and even with all that, even with the anger and hurt running through her blood, her bad body still moved into his touch. My enemies, my rivals, everyone who wants to see me hurt, and now I've given them the perfect tool. Shea's mind was going fast. 3 months. She'd spent 3 months falling for a guy she didn't know one bit. Then why would you do this if it puts us in danger? Because you were going to leave. His voice got low to something scary. Owning, your work deal ends in 9 weeks. You were going to go back to Atlanta, back to your safe little life, and I was going to become a tale you'd chuckle about. That intense Korean guy I dated in Seoul, I couldn't. His jaw got tight. I won't let that. So, you picked to baby trap me. That's your fix. You'd think I had an option. He laughed, but there was no fun in it, only something dark and needy. You walked into that party at the L Hotel in that red dress, and you looked at me, really looked at me like I was a guy, not a bad guy, like I was worth helping. His forehead came down to rest on hers, and she could feel his breath soft on her lips. Do you know how many people look at me with fear, with plans, with want? But you smiled at me. You fought with me about American barbecue versus Korean galbi. You fell asleep on my couch watching K-dramas and teased my bad English sounds. You made me feel like a person. Stop. She turned her face away, but he followed, his lips touching her side head. I tried to let you go, he whispered on her skin. For 2 weeks after I knew I was falling, I tried. I told myself I'd end it clean. But then you'd show up at my place with tteokbokki from that street seller you like, saying bad Korean to make me laugh, and I'd think maybe I could keep one good thing, just one. Shay's eyes stung. By forcing me, by taking away my pick. Yes, no wait, no sorry. His hand moved from her chin to the back of her neck, fingers messing in her curls, with an owning way that made her shake. I'm not a good guy. I've killed people. I've done stuff that would make you throw up, but I'm yours and you're mine. And now there's a life we made together tying us. What if I run? The question came out, no breath. Yong-Soo's smile was sharp like a knife, his eyes going to her mouth. Then I'll find you. I'll burn every city from here to Atlanta if I must. You can hate me, fight me, make me hurt, but you're not leaving. His thumb ran on her bottom lip, and she felt her strong will breaking like ice under push. Not now, not ever, and God help her. But the sure way in his voice, the scary promise in crazy want, the way his body pushed on hers like he was trying to mark her with his warmth. It scared her almost as much as it excited her. But what she didn't know yet, as she stood in that top-floor place with the killer's hands holding her face like she was something special, was that Yong-Soo wasn't the only one who'd been keeping secrets. Her work job, her past, even her coming to Seoul, none of it was true. And when the real stuff came out about who really sent her into Cho Yong-Soo's world, this pregnancy would be the smallest of their issues. She didn't sleep that night. She lay in Yong-Soo's big bed, his arm thrown owning across her waist, even in sleep, and looked at the ceiling while her mind went wild. 3 months pregnant, maybe 4. Her hand moved to her still flat belly, and the realness of it hit her in waves. A baby with a guy who'd stolen her pick, trapped her on purpose, and run some kind of bad group. The word kept repeating in her head. Bio group. When morning light came over Seoul, coloring the Han River in pink and gold through the big windows, she knew one thing for sure. She had to get out. Not today. He'd be watching too close. But soon, she needed a plan. Yong-Soo moved next to her, his hold on her waist getting tighter by reflex before his eyes opened. For a second, he just looked at her, dark eyes looking over her face with a strong stare that made her skin tingle like he was checking for signs of fight back. Yal-Jesio, did you sleep well? His voice was rough from sleep, and his free hand came up to push a curl from her face with surprising soft. The two sides of him were going to make her crazy. Not really, she said true, because lying seemed no point now. Something showed in his eyes. Sorry maybe, or happy that she was having trouble. The first 3 months are hard. Hormones, worry. His palm went flat on her belly over her silk sleep top, and she felt her breath stop even though. We'll see a doctor today. Private place in Cheongdong the best. I don't want she. His thumb made circles on her skin, and the easy, close way of it made her want to yell and move into him at the same time. I know you're mad. I know you hate me right now, but I need to make sure you're both okay. That's no talk. She wanted to argue him, But the truth was she needed to see a doctor, too. Needed to know if this pregnancy was even okay after all the wine she'd drunk before she knew all the late nights and stress. "Fine," she said, hating how tiny her voice sounded, "but I'm not staying shut in this top-floor place." Yong-Soo's smile was slow and scary. "Who said anything about shutting you in?" He sat up, the sheet falling to his waist, showing all that tattoo and muscle in the morning light. The dragon seemed to shift on his chest as he breathed. "You're not my prisoner, Jack. You're free to go anywhere you want." The sweet name, "my darling," made her belly flip. "Really, of course." He leaned down, his lips touching her side head. "As long as Junho and Minho go with you, my guards." He pulled back to meet her eyes. "I told you last night, having this baby, makes you a target. I have enemies. People who would love nothing more than to hurt me by hurting you." A cold feeling went down her back. What kind of enemies? The kind that don't ask before they shoot. His hand held her chin, lifting her face up. "So, yes, you can go shopping in Myeongdong, get coffee in Itaewon, visit museums, whatever you want. But Junho and Minho stay within 10 feet of you all the time. Not a prisoner, just always watched by guys with guns. So much better." But looking into his eyes, she saw something that made her heart skip. Real fear. He was scared for her, terrified even under all that big control. And that knowing, it changed something she wasn't ready to name. "Get dressed," he said, standing and going to his closet. "We'll have breakfast at that cafe you love in Samcheong-dong, the one with the honey butter toast." Even with all, her bad heart warmed. He'd remembered, 3 weeks ago, she'd pulled him to a small cafe hidden in Seoul's old house area, and he'd watched her eat honey butter toast with strawberries, while saying how sweet it was. "You hate that place," she said. "You said it was too." What was the word? Cute. His accent wrapped around the English word, as he came out from the closet in dark jeans and a white button shirt, rolling up the sleeves to show more tattoo going down his arms. "Too cute for a guy like me." He caught her looking at the tattoos, and his lips smiled a bit. "But you loved it, and you need to eat something easy for your belly." Shay's throat got tight. How was she supposed to match this? The nice thought, the care with the guy who'd got her pregnant on purpose to keep her trapped. She got out of bed and went to the bathroom, needing room to think. As she brushed her teeth, she looked at her face in the mirror. Same face, same body, but everything had changed in one night. There was a life inside her now, half her, half him. The thought made her head spin. When she came out wearing a yellow sundress, Yong-Soo was leaning on the dresser, looking at his phone. He looked up and something hot showed in his eyes as they went down her body. "Eriam Dao," he whispered. "Beautiful." "Stop." She grabbed her bag. "You don't get to look at me like that after what you did." He crossed the room in 2 big steps, catching her wrist soft. "Look at you like what?" "Like you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." His other hand went around her waist, pulling her close to him. "I can't stop." I tried. I failed. And now you're carrying my child, and every feeling I have is yelling at me to keep you near." His forehead came down to rest on hers, and she could feel his breath soft on her lips, warm and too close. "I know I'm a jerk. I know I took your pick, but I can't be sorry. Not when the other way was losing you." Shay's hands came up to push his chest, meaning to shove him off. But her bad fingers grabbed his shirt instead, holding on. "You're going to make me hate myself," she whispered, "for not hating you enough." His laugh was low and rough. "Then we'll hate ourselves together." He kissed her forehead, then her cheek, then the side of her mouth. Soft touches that made her whole body hurt. "Come on, let's get you food, before I do something that makes us both late." The drive to Samcheong-dong should have been calm. Seoul's morning cars were okay, and the old neighborhood was pretty this time of year, with fall leaves coloring the narrow streets in gold and red. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Yong-Soo sat next to her in the back of his black Mercedes, his hand owning on her leg, while 2 guys she'd never seen before sat in the front seats. Gunho and Minseok, both big like walls, both with clear lumps under their jackets. "Relax," Yong-soo whispered, his thumb making circles on her leg through the thin dress cloth. "You're safe." But safe was different when your boyfriend was a crime boss. The cafe was just like she remembered, hidden between old Korean houses, with wood beams and paper lights, and the smell of fresh bread coming through open windows. Yong-soo led her inside with his hand on her lower back, and the old owner, Mrs. Kim, said hi with warm knowing, "She and your handsome young man." She led them to a corner table by the window. The usual, "Yes, please," she tried, trying to smile normal. As Mrs. Kim hurried away, Yong-soo reached over the table to take her hand, his fingers mixed with hers, warm and owning. "See, normal. We can do normal." Could they though? Could they sit here and act like they were just a pair in love, waiting for a baby, planning ahead? The honey buttered toast came, golden and perfect with fresh strawberries and whipped cream. Shay's belly made noise even with her worry, and she took a bite, enjoying the sweet. Yong-soo watched her with a look she couldn't read, owning and soft and scary all together. His thumb rubbed her knuckles. "Better. It's just toast, Yong-soo. It doesn't fix." The window blew up. Glass broke inside as shots started, and Shay's scream stopped in her throat as Yong-soo's body hit hers, taking her to the floor under the table. His weight pushed her into the floor, one arm curved to protect her head, the other reaching for something at his back. More shots. Mrs. Kim yelling, Jun-ho and Min-seok shooting back with guns that seemed to come from nowhere. "Stay down." Yong-soo's voice was hard like metal, all soft gone. He had a gun now, a smooth black one, and he was shooting back through the broken window with deadly aim. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only feel the sharp cut of glass in her arm, the weight of Yong-soo's body covering hers, the loud bang of bullets ripping through the quiet morning. This was real. This was her life now. Through the mess, she heard Yong-soo yell something fast in Korean. Orders, commands, his voice cold and in control, even as his heart beat hard on her back. He shot 3 more times, and somewhere outside, someone yelled. Then, as quick as it started, the shots stopped. Yong-soo didn't move for a long time, his breathing rough in her ear, his body tight like a spring, ready to jump. Then, "Are you hurt?" I don't know." He moved off her careful, his hands checking her arms, her legs, her belly, looking for hurts with wild care. When his fingers found the cut on her arm where glass had cut through her dress, his eyes got dark with anger. "Look at me." He held her face, making her meet his eyes. "Are you hurt anywhere else?" "The baby, I don't know." Her voice came out high and shaking. "I don't know. I can't breathe." His thumb rubbed her cheeks, and even with the bad stuff still in the air around them, his touch was soft. "Just breathe. I've got you." But he didn't have her. He pulled her into this bad dream. And now people were dying in a cafe that smelled like honey and spice, and Mrs. Kim was crying somewhere behind the counter, and Yong-soo took off his button shirt, leaving him in just a white undershirt that showed every muscle and tattoo. He pushed the shirt on the cut on her arm, his jaw tight so hard she could see the muscle move under his skin. "Jun-ho," he yelled. "Status. 2 shooters on bike boss, both down. Mrs. Kim is upset but okay. Street is clear for now, but police will be here in 5 minutes. Then we have 4. Yong-soo turned back to She, and she'd never seen him look like this. Controlled, bad wrapped around, barely held fear. "We're leaving now. Mrs. Kim will get money and safe. Jun-ho's already calling it in." He pulled She to her feet, his arm like metal around her waist. "We need to get you somewhere safe before what?" Shay's crazy was building, ready to break. "Before your enemies come back, before they know they missed, before you go into shock." His voice got a bit soft as he led her to the back way out, keeping his body between her and the broken windows. I need you to hold on for 5 more minutes. Can you do that for me?" She wanted to say no, wanted to yell and cry and fall, but something in his eyes, the need, the fear, the sure way that he would burn the world to keep her safe, made her nod. "Good girl," he whispered, and kissed her forehead. Even as Minho kicked open the back door and checked the alley outside, the Mercedes was already on. Back door open. Yong-soo almost lifted her into the back seat, sliding in next to her and pulling her to his chest, as Min-seok drove away from the side, with the kind of aim that said he'd done this before. Many times before. She's hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. She looked down and saw blood. Her blood soaking through Yong-soo's shirt pushed on her arm. And suddenly, the realness crashed over her like a wave. Someone had just tried to kill them. Kill her. Kill their baby. I can't. Her breath came in short bits. I can't breathe. Yes, you can. Yong-soo's hand held the back of her head, pushing her face into his neck. Breathe with me. In for 4, out for 4. He showed, his chest going up and down on hers in a steady beat. That's it. Just like that. She tried to match him, breathing in the smell of his fancy scent, mixed with gun smoke and fear. His other hand rubbed circles on her back, and he whispered soft things in Korean she couldn't get. But that sounded like comfort, like promises, like prayers. Bit by bit, her breathing slowed. The freakout went back enough for her to think again. Who were they? Her voice was quiet on his neck. I don't know yet. His hand got tight in her hair. But I will, and when I find out who gave the order. He didn't finish, but she felt the bad humming under his skin, barely held. You killed them. It wasn't a question. She'd seen the bodies through the window, laying on the street, not moving. Yes. No, wait. No, sorry. She pulled back to look at him, and what she saw in his face made her chest hurt. He looked ruined, jaw tight, eyes dark with anger and fear, a muscle moving in his head side. One hand still pushed his shirt on her bleeding arm, while the other held her face like she might go away. I told you, he said quiet. I told you having you makes you a target, and you didn't believe me. I believe you now. The words came out broken. Something changed in his look. Happy mixed with sorry. I'm taking you somewhere they can't reach you. Somewhere I can keep you safe, until I figure out who's behind this. Where Jeju Island? I have a house there. Private. Safe. No track. His thumb ran her cheekbone. No one will touch you there. I promise. A house on Jeju Island. Private and safe. Which was code for alone and no escape. That's not asking, is it? Shay's voice was empty. No, at least he was true. You're in danger. She. Real danger. And until I get rid of the threat, you need to be somewhere I can protect you fully. You mean somewhere I can't run? His jaw got tight. That, too. The car went fast through Seoul streets, going through cars with bad skill. She watched the city go by blurry. The place she'd fallen in love with. The place that had seemed so magic and full of hope 3 months ago. Now it looked like a fight area waiting to happen. Your arm needs stitches, Yong-soo said, checking the cut with Dr. Focus. We'll stop at the place first, then go to Gimpo Airport. I have a plane waiting. Of course he did. Private planes and islands, strong places, and guys who show up with guns. This was her life. Now what about my stuff? My place. Junho will pack everything and bring it to Jeju. You're not going back there. Too open, just like that. Her whole life in Seoul packed and moved without her say again. But when she opened her mouth to fight, she saw Yong-soo's hand still pushed on her wound, his knuckles white with push, a mark of her blood on his tattoo arm. He was holding her like she was the most special thing in the world, like losing her would break something deep inside him. And even with all the tricks, the lies, the bad, she knew something scary. He meant it, all of it. The crazy want, the owning, the ready to kill and die to keep her safe. This wasn't a game to him. It was living. Yong-soo, she whispered, what have you gotten me into? He looked at her, then really looked at her, and his eyes were full of something real and needy. Everything, Jagia. I've gotten you into everything. And I'm sorry. His forehead came down to rest on hers. I'm sorry you're hurt. I'm sorry you're scared. I'm sorry I brought this darkness into your life. But you're not sorry enough to let me go. No, his voice broke. Never that. I'd rather watch you hate me from inside a strong place than go to your funeral, because I was too weak to keep you. The car stopped at a new building in Cheong. Smooth glass and metal, No signs, just a quiet door. The place. Min-seok opened the door and Young-soo led her out, his arm wrapped to protect around her waist. As they walked inside, she saw her face in the glass doors. Her yellow sundress was ripped and blood-marked. Her hair was wild with glass bits in the curls. Her eyes looked empty, shocked. She looked like a woman who'd just lived through a kill try. She looked like Cho Young-soo's woman. And the scariest part, as the doctor fixed her arm and Young-soo held her other hand, with a hold that said he'd never let go, she knew she wasn't sure she wanted him to anymore, because out there past these walls were people who wanted her dead. And in here, holding her hand while her blood dried on his skin, was the bad guy who'd just shown he'd kill to keep her alive. The cage was closing. The lock was turning and she was running out of reasons to fight it. What she didn't know yet, as the private jet took them toward Jeju Island and the fancy prison waiting there, was that the attack at the cafe, that was just the start. And the real threat wasn't coming from Young-soo's enemies at all. It was coming from the people who'd sent her to Seoul in the first place. The house on Jeju Island wasn't a house. It was a strong place dressed as heaven. She stood on the deck that went around watching the East China Sea hit against black fire rock below and tried to remember what free felt like. 5 days since the attack, 5 days of white wraps on her arm. Young-soo's eyes following her every move, and the choking knowing that she was totally trapped. The place was amazing. She'd say that modern build, mixing smooth with Jeju's nature stuff. Big windows framing sea views. A private beach, only through a watched gate. Inside, everything was fancy. Italian stone, Korean art, a kitchen bigger than her whole Atlanta place. But fancy didn't change what it was. A cage, just a pretty one. You should be resting. Young-soo's voice came from behind her, and she felt him come before his arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her back to his chest. His chin rested on her shoulder. And even with all, her body relaxed into his warmth. That was the problem. Her body kept turning on her brain. "I've been resting for 5 days," she said, her hands going over his at her belly. A move that was becoming normal, natural, scary in its close. "I'm going nuts." The doctor said to take it easy. Stress isn't good for the baby. His lips touched her side head, then lower, going along her chin in a way that made her breath stop. "Or for you." She closed her eyes, fighting the way her heart jumped at his touch. Dr. Han had come yesterday, a strict woman in her 50s who'd done a full check and said what she already knew. 10 weeks pregnant, totally healthy even with the bad. The baby was fine. She was fine body anyway. "I need to do something," she said, turning in his hold to face him. "I can't just sit here looking at the sea while you go away into your office for hours." He looked tired. Dark under his eyes, tight in his jaw that hadn't been there before. Seoul, he'd been making calls at weird times. Coming to bed, smelling like worry and smoke, pulling her close like she might go if he let go. "I'm handling things," he said simple. "Making sure what happened at the cafe never happens again. The people who attacked us are no longer a problem." His voice was flat end. "The Park family out of Busan made a move on Seoul area. They went for you to make me weak." His hands held her face, thumbs rubbing her cheekbones. "They won't make that mistake again." The easy way he said it, like talking about weather, not whatever bad he'd let out, should have scared her. Maybe it did, but it also made something dark and basic inside her feel. Safe God, what was happening to her? "I want to go for a walk," she said, needing to get away from the strong of his look. "On the beach. I need air that doesn't smell like this house." Young-soo's jaw got tight. "Not alone." "Then come with me." She grabbed his hand, mixing their fingers. "Please." 5 days, Young-soo. "I haven't left this place in 5 days." For a second, she thought he'd say no, but then he nodded, and the happy relief that came through her was embarrassing in its strong. "Okay, but you stay close to me." The private beach was got to through a stone path going down the cliffside. Young-soo kept his hand on her lower back the whole way down, steadying her over rough spots, his touch both safe and owning. When they got to the sand, She took off her shoes and let her feet sink into the cool black grains from fire rock. The beach was empty except for 2 guards at the far end, always watching, always there, her shadow watchers. They walked quiet for a bit, the waves the only sound. She tried to sort her thoughts, tried to figure how to ask the question burning in her chest. "Tell me something real," she finally said. "Something that isn't about groups, or enemies or bad. Something that's just you." Young-soo was quiet so long she thought he wouldn't answer. "Then my mum used to bring me here before she died." She stopped walking, turning to look at him. His eyes were stuck on the far sea, and for the first time since she'd known him, he looked almost open. "Weak. I was 8, he went on. "She'd rent a small house in Siaguipo every summer, and we'd act like my dad didn't exist, that his money owes didn't exist, that the guys who came looking for pay didn't exist." His hand found hers again, warm and strong. "She'd make me orange juice from the local farms, and tell me stories about the Hanye, the women divers, strong women who could hold their breath for minutes, who weren't scared of the deep." "What happened to her?" she asked, soft, though part of her already knew the answer wouldn't be happy. "My dad's O's caught up with us." His voice was flat, no feeling, but his hold on her hand got tight until it almost hurt. "She tried to protect me. She failed, and I swore I'd never be weak like him. Never let anyone I cared about pay for my mistakes." The pieces fit. The crazy need for control, the ready to do anything to keep her safe, the strong place thinking. He'd failed to save his mum, and now he was set not to fail again, even if it meant becoming the thing that breaks people. "So, you built a big power," she said. "Became the most scary guy in the room so no one could hurt you again." "Yes." He turned to face her full, his free hand coming up to hold her chin. "And then you walked into that party wearing red, and you looked at me like I was a guy worth saving, like I was more than what I'd become." His thumb ran her bottom lip. "And I knew I'd trade every bit of power I've built to keep that look in your eyes." Shay's breath stopped. The strong in his look made her feel naked, seen in a way that was both scary and strong pull. "That's why you did it," she whispered. "The pregnancy, you thought if I left you'd lose the only person who ever saw you as human. I knew I would." His forehead came down to rest on hers. "And I couldn't live that." I've lived everything else. Poor, bad, betray, but losing you, that would have broken something I can't fix." Her heart was pounding on her ribs. She should push him away, should hold her anger, her fear, her totally right mad at what he'd done. But his open was a tool she had no fight against. "You're asking me to forgive the Kanforgiv," she said, her voice breaking. "No." His lips touched hers, light like feather testing. "I'm asking you to live with me. We don't have to call it forgive. We can call it change. Even with all," she almost laughed. "Change. That's one word for stuck feeling. Is it stuck feeling if you're safer with the catcher than without him?" His mouth moved to her chin, pressing soft kisses that made her knees weak. "If the world outside is more scary than the cage." Shay's hands grabbed his shirt, split between pulling him close and pushing away. "You're mixing everything." "I'm being true." He pulled back to look at her, and his eyes were on fire. "I'm a bad guy. I've done awful things, but I'm your bad guy now, and anyone who wants to hurt you has to go through me first." The say should have sounded crazy. Instead, it sounded like a promise. Before she could answer, his phone buzzed. The change in him was right away, his whole body going stiff, eyes getting sharp to that scary focus she'd seen right before the cafe attack. "What?" Her heart jumped. "What is it?" He was reading something on his screen, his jaw getting tighter each second. "We need to get back to the house now. Tell me what's happening." "Your friend, Maya." He grabbed her hand and started pulling her back to the path. His speed, fast but controlled. "The one you texted before I took your phone. She just filed a missing persons report with the US office in Seoul." Shay's heart stopped. What? "She told them you sent a help message and then vanished. The office is asking questions." His hold on her hand was almost hurt as they climbed the stone path. "Questions that are going to lead them here if we're not careful. But that's good, isn't it?" Even as she said it, something in his look made her doubt. The office can help me. Yong-soo stopped walking sudden and turned to face her. Help you how? By making you a trade piece between countries, by turning you into a world problem. His hands grabbed her shoulders. You're carrying the child of Korea's most wanted bad guy. Do you really think anyone's first is your safe? The way he said it, cold, planned, super true, made cold fill her blood. What are you saying? I'm saying that the moment they check your spot, you become worth for all the wrong reasons. To the US side, to the Korean police, to my enemies, who will see a chance in the mess. He held her face, making her meet his eyes. The only person who wants to keep you alive more than they want to use you is me. She wanted to fight, wanted to believe he was tricking her, mixing the true to keep her follow. But looking into his eyes, seeing the real fear there under all that controlled bad, she wasn't sure he was wrong. So, what do we do? The question felt like falling. We stay smart, we stay hidden. His thumb rubbed her cheek. And we get ready for the chance that your old life is about to come looking for your new one. As they got to the house, she looked back at the sea, big and never end, and totally not caring about her problem. 5 days ago, she'd been shot at in a cafe. Now, her best friend had maybe put a mark on her back by trying to save her. The cage was getting smaller, the ways out were going away, and the bad guy holding her hand, he might be the only thing between her and something worse. What she didn't know yet, as Yong-soo led her inside, and right away went into his office to make calls, was that Maya's report had done more than tell the office. It had started rules, turned on helpers, started a bunch of events that would force she to face a truth she'd been dodging since the moment she woke up in Seoul 3 months ago. Nothing about her life had ever been real. Not her job, not her place, not even her reason for being in South Korea. She'd been a game piece from the start, and the player moving her on the board was about to show themselves. She waited 3 days before she tried to run. 3 days of watching Yong-soo's guards change times, learning their ways, remembering the no-see spots in the cameras. 3 days of acting the follow girlfriend, letting him hold her at night while his breathing got even into sleep, all while her mind went with runways and needy plans. Maya's missing report had changed all. It meant someone was looking for her. It meant there was still a world outside this fancy cage that remembered she was there. It meant she had to try. The chance came on a Thursday morning. Yong-soo had left for Seoul before light. Something about meeting with his seconds. His voice tight with worry as he'd kissed her forehead and promised to be back by dark. Gunho and Min-seok were with him, leaving only 2 guards on the place. One at the main gate, one walking the edge. She had watched them long enough to know the edge guard took a smoke break at the far end of the place. Every day at 10 a.m., a 15-minute window where the beach path was no watch. 15 minutes, that was all she needed. She dressed in dark jeans and a black sweater, even with the mild Jeju weather, pulled her hair into a tight knot, and tucked her passport. The one thing Yong-soo hadn't taken, probably because he didn't think she'd really try, into her back pocket. Her hands shook as she went down the stairs, quiet. Every sound of the floor like loud shots in the quiet house. The kitchen door that led to the beach path was locked, but she'd remembered the code by watching Yong-soo put it in. 4 numbers, 0814. August 14th, the day they met at the L Hotel party. She'd said it once quick, surprised he remembered the exact day. Now she knew. He'd been marking it like a hunter marks his catch. The lock clicked open. Shay's heart pounded as she slipped outside into the cool morning air. The path went before her, winding down through fire, rock and wild grass, toward the black sand beach. Beyond that, she could see the main road far, maybe 2 miles if she ran. She ran, her feet hit against stone, her breath coming in gasps that had nothing to do with heart and everything to do with fear. Any second now, someone would see. Any second, alarms would go, and Yong-soo's guys would come for her, and she made it to the beach. The sand slowed her, but she pushed through, her eyes stuck on the road ahead. So close, she was so close to free, so close to a black SUV was parked at the public beach spot. For a wild second, she thought about waving it down, asking whoever inside for help, but something made her wait. The way it was placed, engine on, windows dark so she couldn't see in. The side door opened, a woman got out. Mid-40s, blonde hair pulled back in a strict knot, wearing a sharp pantsuit that screamed office person. She looked at She with a look that was half happy relief and half planning. She Thompson. Her English was American, no accent. "My name is Director Patterson. I'm with the US office. Your friend Maya said you're missing." Her knees almost fell with relief. "Oh my God. Oh thank God." She went forward, clumsy, sand flying around her feet. "I need help. I need to get out of here before he knows I'm gone. Before Cho Yong-soo comes back from Seoul." Patterson's smile didn't get to her eyes. "We've been checking his moves. We know he left this morning. We don't have much time." Something in the woman's voice made Shay's relief turn to worry. "How did you know where to find me? How did you know I'd be here right now?" "We've been watching this place since your friend filed her report." Patterson took a step closer and she saw the lump under her jacket. "A gun. We've been waiting for a chance. When we saw the less guards this morning, we knew you might try." The pieces were fitting in a way that made Shay's belly turn. "You've been watching me this whole time. We've been trying to help you." Patterson fixed. "You stopped answering your boss at Atlas Global Consulting 3 weeks ago. That started rules." Shay's blood went cold. "Atlas Global? What are you talking about?" Patterson's look turned into something harder, more planning. "Come now, you're a smart woman. Surely you've started to fit it." She pulled out a flat computer from the SUV and turned it to She. "Atlas Global Consulting doesn't exist. Not as a real company. It's a CIA fake work." The beach flipped side. "No, that's not. I asked for that job. I talked, and we picked you from a group of checked people, because you were perfect." Patterson moved through files on the screen. People files, back checks, mind checks, all with Shay's name. All dated months before she'd even seen the job ad. 28 years old, no family after your parents died, no love ties, degree in world business with small in Asian stuff. You even had a noted like in Korean ways from your school classes. Shay's hands went no feel. Her sight narrowed. "You're saying I was what? Hired? Placed?" Patterson fixed cold. "Your job was to get close to Cho Yong-soo, to get info on his work, his friends, his weak spots, to become someone he'd trust." She tilted her head, looking at She like a test thing under glass. "Though I'll say, we didn't think you'd be this good. Pregnant with his child. That's power more than anything we could have made." The words hit like real hits. Every talk with her boss suddenly made scary sense. The easy questions about Yong-soo's times, the ideas about which events to go, which food places to visit, which people to show him. The weekly reports she'd sent, thinking they were just normal culture work updates. She'd been giving them info without knowing. She'd been a spy, and no weapon. "I didn't know," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I swear to God, I didn't know." "We know you didn't. That's what made you so good." Patterson's voice got a bit soft, but her eyes stayed planning. A helper who doesn't know they're a helper can't show themselves. You were real with him. That's why he fell for you. Shay's legs gave. She fell on the sand, her hands pushing on her belly, where their baby, the baby he made on purpose to trap her, was growing. "My whole life was a lie. Your whole life was ready for this moment." Patterson went down to her level. "And now we need you to finish what you started. Come with me to the office. We'll talk you, get your words about his work, and put you in safe hide. You and the baby will be safe." Safe. She laughed, but it came out broken. Wild. Safe in another cage. Another made-up self. How is that different from what he's doing? "Because we're the good guys," Patterson said. "Simple. And he's a bad who got you pregnant without your say to keep you trapped." Was that true? Or was it just another trick? Another person trying to control her story? Shay's mind was spinning, trying to take too much at once. Yong-soo had known from the start what she was, had told her that first night in the top place. He'd known she was bait and had fallen for her anyway. Or maybe because of it. Or maybe, how much does he know? The question came out rough about me, about Atlas Global. Patterson's look showed something that might have been like more than we'd like. Cho Young-soo didn't become the boss of the Bio group by being dumb. He guessed from your first meet. That's why he kept you close to figure if you were a real threat or a chance. A chance for what? To change you, to turn you, to make you his instead of ours. Patterson stood offering her hand. And it worked, didn't it? You're thinking for him in your head right now, trying to see if his cage is better than mine. She didn't take the hand, couldn't. Her whole body felt heavy like metal. The difference, Patterson went on, is that we'll let you go sometime. Safe hide isn't forever, but he told you himself, he'll never let you leave. That baby inside you was his sure plan. You know that? Yes, she knew that. Had known it since the moment those 2 pink lines showed on the test. But knowing something and taking it were different. I need time to think. We don't have time. Patterson's voice got sharp with hurry. His safe system has moved feelers on that beach path. Even with less guards, someone will have seen by now. We need to move. She, now, as if called by her words, she heard it. The sound of a car loud up the coast road, moving way too fast. Her heart stopped. No, it was too soon. He wasn't supposed to be back until night. Unless the safe system had told him. Unless he'd turned around the moment she ran. Unless he'd known somehow that she would try. The black Mercedes came into sea, sliding to stop at the edge of the beach spot. 3 doors opened at same time. Young-soo got out from the back, Junho and Min-seok next to him, all 3 moving with deadly aim. But it was Young-soo's face that made Shay's chest break open. He looked broken, mad, scared. His eyes locked on hers across the sand, and the hurt in them was alive. "You ran," he said. The words stayed in the air like a blame and a hurt all at once. Shay's voice broke. "I had to try. Had to try." Young-soo said again like the words were strange. "No understand." His hand moved to his back, and when it came forward, he was holding a gun. "Had to try to leave me. Had to try to run to them." His look moved to Patterson, and something deadly showed on his face. "Director Patterson, I wondered when you'd make your move." Patterson's hand moved to her jacket, to her gun. But Young-soo was faster. His gun was up and aimed before she could pull. "I wouldn't," he said soft, his voice cold as winter metal. "My guys have your driver in their aim. You shoot me, they shoot him. Your extra is 20 minutes away. We all know how this ends if you force me." She stood frozen between them, really caught between 2 sides that wanted to use her, control her, own her for different reasons that somehow felt just the same. Patterson said, without taking eyes off Young-soo, "Come here. You're an American. I can protect you from him." "She's carrying my child," Young-soo said back, his voice low to something owning and real. "She's mine and I don't care what office group you are. You're not taking her." "Yours," Patterson laughed. "She's not thing, Mr. Cho. She has rights, and we have proof that you've been holding her no want. That you got her pregnant on purpose. No say." "I never said I didn't say yes." The words came out of Shay's mouth before she could stop, before she could think what they meant. Both turned to stare at her. "What?" Patterson's work face slipped. He said he messed with birth stop." "That's force, baby. That's bad in every I know what it is." Shay's hands pushed on her belly, feeling the small curve that was barely see. "But there, I know what he did. I know what he is." She turned to face Patterson full, and something in her chest was breaking wide. "But you made me into a tool. No. You built my whole life like I was a game piece on your board. You put me in his way on purpose. We were trying to bring down a scary bad by using me. Shay's voice broke. Years of being controlled by people who say they know better finally blowing. By turning me into something I never said yes to be. At least Yong-Soo was true about what he wanted from me. At least she stopped. The knowing hitting her like a big train. At least when he trapped me, I knew I was trapped. Patterson's look got hard into something cold and office. You're mixed up. He's tricked you, kept you alone, made a need. And what have you done? She said back. What's the difference between his cage and yours? Because from where I'm standing, Director, you both want the same, to control me for your own reasons. He wants me as his, you want me as your C. Neither of you is asking what I want. The quiet after was loud. Even the waves seemed too quiet, waiting for next. Yong-Soo hadn't moved, his gun still aimed at Patterson. But something in his look had changed. His eyes were locked on She with a strong that made her skin burn. Hope, and not believe, and something needy fighting on his face. Last chance, Patterson said, her voice short. Come with me now. Say against him and we'll put you in safe hide. You and the baby. New self. New life. Safe shore. Safe. She said again, and the word tasted bad. You mean another built self. Another life of looking back. Another cage just with different bars. She took a shaky breath. How long would I have to stay in safe hide? A year, 5, forever. Patterson's quiet was answer enough. She turned to look at Yong-Soo, at the bad guy who'd stolen her pick, but was looking at her now like she was his whole world breaking. At the guy who'd killed to save her, who'd built her strong to keep her safe, who'd offered to burn his power if it meant keeping her. It wasn't a good pick. It wasn't even a smart pick, but for the first time in 3 months, maybe for the first time in her whole life, it was her pick. I'm staying, she said. The words fell like rocks into still water, spreading out in waves she knew she couldn't take back. Patterson's face went cold. You're making a mistake you can't fix. Miss Thompson, maybe. Her voice steady now, sure in a way that scared her. But it's my mistake to make, not yours, not the CIA's mine. For a long second, Patterson just stared at her like she was a bad test, a helper gone wrong. Then she lowered her hand from her jacket and took a step back to the SUV. This isn't over, Mr. Cho, she said, her eyes hard like rock. We'll be watching, and the moment she wants out, the moment she knows what you really are, and asks for help, we'll be there. She won't, Yong-Soo said quiet, because unlike you, Director, I'm going to give her something you never did. And what's that? His voice low to something real and true. A choice to stay every single day. Patterson got into the SUV, no more words. The car pulled away slow, on purpose, like she was giving She one last chance to change mind. When she didn't move, didn't run after her, the SUV went faster and vanished down the coast road, taking with it Shay's last link to her old life. She stood there on the black sand, shaking as Yong-Soo put away his gun and sent Junho and Min-seok away with a sharp head move. The two guys went back to the Mercedes, giving them a loan, but staying close enough to jump in if needed. Yong-Soo came slow, like she was a wild animal that might run. He stopped a few feet away, and for the first time since she'd known him, he looked not sure. Open. You chose me, he said, and his voice broke on the words. Why? She looked at him, really looked at him, at the dragon tattoo hiding under his shirt neck, at the dark under his eyes from no-sleep nights, at the hands that had killed for her, held her, trapped her, saved her. Because you're right, she whispered. The world outside is more scary than the cage. She was never going to let me go. Not really. Safe hide is just another prison with better talk. She took a step to him, then another. And if I have to be trapped somewhere, if I have to belong to someone, her voice low, I'd rather be trapped with someone who's ready to burn the world to keep me safe than someone who will use me until I'm no longer easy. His arms came around her like a tight hold, pulling her to his chest so hard she could barely breathe. She felt him shaking. This scary, deadly guy was shaking as he held her like she might go if he let loose. "I thought I'd lost you," he whispered in her hair, his accent thicker with feeling. "When the safe alert came, when I saw you running on the cameras, I thought you'd rather risk all than stay with me." "I did risk all." She pushed her face into his neck, breathing in his smell, fancy scent and fear and something needy. "And I'm still here." He pulled back just enough to hold her face, his thumbs wiping tears she didn't know she'd cried. His eyes were on fire with something fierce and owning and almost prey-like. "I'm going to show you that you made the right pick. Every day, I'm going to show that you're not just living with me, you're alive." She didn't believe him, not yet, maybe not ever. But when he kissed her, needy and claiming and somehow soft gentle, she knew something that should have scared her, but instead felt like taking. She'd chosen her bad guy. Now she just had to figure out how to live with him. His hands went into her hair as the kiss got deeper, and she felt herself melting into him, even with the mess and hurt and no waist spot. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. "We need to leave Jeju," he said, his forehead on hers. "Patterson knows where we are. She come back with more people, more power. Where will we go?" "New Zealand. I have place there, totally no track. Listed under fake companies, even the CIA can't follow easy." His hands held her face. "I'll break my work here. Give proof to Korean side for no punish. Walk away from all I've built." She pulled back to look at him. "You'd really do that? Give up your power?" "It was never power, Jagier. It was a prison I built around me after my mum died." His thumb ran her cheekbone. "But you're the first thing that's ever made me want to be free. What about your enemies? The people who attacked us, taken care of?" Something dark showed in his eyes. "The Park family won't be a problem anymore. I made sure of that." She didn't ask how, didn't want to know the details of what he'd done to save them. "And the baby?" Her hand pushed on her belly. "What kind of life can we give them?" Yong-Soo's hand covered hers, warm and steady. "A quiet one, a safe one, a normal one." He laughed soft. "Or as normal as it can be when your parents are an old crime boss and a no CIA helper." Even with all, she almost smiled. "That's going to be one heck of an SD story. We'll tell them the truth." His voice got serious. "When they're old enough about how we met, what I did, what happened, they deserve to know their parents aren't perfect. That love is hard and messy, and sometimes starts in the worst way. And if they hate us for it, then we'll earn their forgive." He kissed her forehead. "The same way I'm going to spend the rest of my life earning yours." She looked up at him. This scary guy who'd become her whole world through tricks and crazy want, and a twisted kind of love she was only starting to get. "I don't forgive you," she said quiet. "Not yet, maybe not ever. I know, but I choose you anyway. Even with all, maybe because of all." She took a shaky breath. "Is that enough?" His smile was sad and hopeful at the same time. "It's more than I deserve, which means it's all I need." He lifted her into his arms. She gasped and grabbed his shoulders and started carrying her back up the beach path to the house. "What are you doing?" "Taking you home," he said simple. "We have a plane to catch, a life to break, and a future to build." His eyes met hers, and in them she saw the truth of what they were about to do. "Ready to vanish with me?" Was she ready to leave all behind? to become someone new, to build a life with a guy who'd trapped her, but was offering her a kind of free she'd never had. She looked back one last time at the empty road where Patterson's SUV had gone, at the life she could have had. Safe hide, safe, a built self that wasn't really hers. Then she looked at Young-soo, at the dad of her child, at the bad guy who loved her enough to change. "Yeah," she whispered, winding her arms around his neck. "Let's vanish." 6 months later, in a small sea town in New Zealand that didn't show on any fun maps, she watched the sun go down, color the sky in pink and gold, while Young-soo, now going by Daniel Cho, built a baby bed in their small house bedroom. Her hand rested on her very big belly, feeling their girl kick on her palm with what she was sure was her dad's hard head. "She's busy today," Daniel said, looking up from the how-to paper with a smile that changed his face into something soft and person. "She knows you're building her runway," she teased, and was given his laugh, that rare, real sound she'd been getting like treasure over the past months. He'd kept his promises, all of them. He broke his group, gave proof against his rivals for no punish, and walked away from all he built. They vanished into new selves so full that even Patterson's stuff couldn't find them. Every morning, he asked if she wanted to stay. Every morning, she said yes. It wasn't forgive. It wasn't even full fixed, but it was real and it was theirs, and it was built on pics she made free. "Now, do you regret it?" she asked, watching him work. Giving up all. Daniel looked at her with those dark eyes that had once scared her and now felt like home. "I regret how we started. I'll spend the rest of my life earning what I took from you." He placed his hand over hers on her belly, feeling their girl move. "But regret you, regret this, never." As the sun went below the far and their girl kicked again, she knew that sometimes love doesn't save you from the dark. Sometimes you both have to walk through fire to find something worth keeping, and sometimes the bad guy teaches you how to be free. Their story wasn't a dream tale. It was messy and hard and built on burns and forced pics. But as Daniel pulled her close and their girl kicked between them, she thought maybe that was okay. Maybe perfect love stories were too much anyway. Maybe real love, the kind that lived all and chose to stay, was better. If you made it this far, thank you for going on this wild ride with she and Young-soo. Their story was messy, dark, and hard, but that's what makes it real. If you want more Afro-Korean love stories that don't hold back, sign up now and let me know in the comments, Team Monster or Team Freedom. I'll see you in the next story.